most important part of shooting with your Fujifilm camera is making sure that your SD card works properly. But things don't always go smoothly with SD cards, and that is the subject of today's video. Hi everyone, and welcome to Pal the Tech. Today we are talking about a couple of specific problems that you may encounter when using SD cards on your Fujifilm cameras. Now, whenever you put an SD card into your Fujifilm camera, I recommend that you completely reformat it in camera. Don't format it on Windows, don't format it on a Mac, but instead allow your camera to do the formatting for you. Just go to the little wrench in your menu, go to User Setting, and you'll see Format right there. Now, if you've got an XT camera, there's a much better and faster way to do that. Simply press and hold down the little trash can button, just like this, you see that? And then while you're holding it down, press once on the rear command dial. Boom. If you're having trouble making that shortcut work, try pressing the shutter button halfway down once, and then repeat the process, and you should get into the format screen. Choose the slot that your SD card is in, and click OK. What this does is completely erase all of the files and sets up a specific folder structure that's used by the camera. However, don't do this on an SD card that has photos on it because it will erase everything on that SD card. Make sure you've taken your photos off of it first. So this tip of properly formatting your SD card in camera can solve a lot of SD card problems. So that should be your first stop if you're having trouble. Format the card in camera. Now, before I get into my second tip, we need to discuss how the camera defaults to saving your images into a bunch of subfolders. As you're out and about shooting photos, your Fujifilm camera will default to saving them in a series of subfolders that's inside a main DCIM folder. Each of these subfolders starts with 3 numbers, and they have an underscore character followed by Fuji. Now, on newer Fujifilm cameras, you can actually change the custom name that your camera uses for these subfolders. But please hold off on customizing the subfolder names. We'll get back to that in a bit. Now, as you're out and about shooting, your camera is obviously saving your images to the SD card. As it's saving your images to each of these sequential folders, each folder can contain up to 999 images. So, once again, to recap, you formatted your SD card, you're out and about shooting, and as soon as you've taken 999 images, the very next image is stored in a brand new folder that's numbered sequentially. You see that right here? Now, notice how these folders continue being numbered in sequence with the 3 numbers in the beginning of their name: 101, 102, 103, and so forth. Now, this continuous numbering scheme with images and subfolders is going to continue until one of 2 things happen. Either your camera's SD card runs out of space, at which point you're going to have to take out the SD card, right, and put a new one in. Or, and this is the important part here, the subfolder numbering scheme gets to 999, and the number of photos that are inside that 999 folder also gets to 999. If that occurs, this will happen. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm now going to press the playback button. And as you can see, this image is stored in the 999th folder, and it's image number 997. Don't worry about the first 9 in the 4-digit series right here. Remember that Fujifilm recently released a firmware update. This update modified the maximum amount of images that could be stored in a single subfolder. Okay, so I'm 3 images away from 999. I'm gonna go ahead and take them. 1, 2, oh, look at that. If you see this error message, it means that you have 999, the maximum images, in a subfolder that is also 999. If both of those are true, the camera will stop and not allow you to take any more photos. Pressing down on the shutter button does absolutely nothing. So to fix this problem, here's what you need to do. Make sure that you've gotten all your images off the card because you're going to erase it. Take the card, put it back in the Fujifilm camera. Go into your menu, go to the wrench, and then Save Data Setup. Make sure you change frame number to renew. Very important. Once you've done that, format the card in the camera by pressing and holding down the little trash can button and then pressing the rear command dial once. Now, as soon as you've reformatted your SD card, take 1 picture. Once you've done that, go back into the menu, into Save Data Setup, and you can go ahead and put this back to continuous. Now you can go out and shoot normally. And if you take your SD card out of the camera and you look at it on a computer, you will see that your subfolder starts over at 100. The reason that I'm making such a big deal about this is because I have heard from a number of viewers that with certain Fujifilm firmware updates or some kind of resetting they're doing on their camera, the camera will default to automatically naming the very first folder 999. And that will cause the problem the minute you fill that folder up with 999 images. You'll get that error message. So if this is happening to you, go ahead and do the fix. It'll take care of it, no problem. Remember also the difference between continuous and renew. If you set to continuous, the camera is going to continue numbering every single photo that you take, even if you take the SD card out of the camera, you put it in your computer, you take it out of your computer, you put it back in the camera, you reformat it in the camera, it will still pick up where you left off from the last time you were shooting the photos. So for example, as you can see here, my most recent photo is number 26. I'm gonna go ahead and reformat the SD card in the camera. Now I will take another photo and have a look. It's number 27. When you have it set to continuous, your current numbering scheme is stored right in the camera memory itself. Now, renew means that when you reformat the SD card, the camera will start over the image numbering at 0001 and so forth. Now, as I've mentioned before, on some Fujifilm cameras, you can actually customize both the image file and the subfolder names. I will sometimes customize the image file names if I'm shooting with, say, non-Fujifilm, third-party, all-manual lenses that don't send any EXIF data to the SD card, and I want to have a record, a list of files that I see what lens I shot with. That's one example of why I would customize them. But you need to be careful if you are renaming and customizing folders. That's the subfolders we talked about earlier, because there's no ability to delete a custom name that you've created. For example, if I go into my Save Data Setup where it says Select Folder, and I want to create a new folder, it won't let me do it. And that's because the camera was in continuous. If I change it to renew, and I reformat the card, now if I go back in, select folder, create folder, there it is. Now, if I'm out taking pictures, for example, when I take the card and I put it in my computer, there's the folder right there. The problem comes into play if I want to delete that custom folder. It is incredibly confusing how Fuji has this set up. Suppose you want to sell your camera and you don't want your custom folder name transferred to somebody else. Even if you completely reset, reformat, completely have a factory reset of the camera, it is still going to keep your custom folder name that you created. If I go select folder, 7 frame means there's 7 images stored on it on the SD card, but there's just create folder and that's it. It should just say edit folder. That's a huge usability problem. So I have sort of a workaround hack to put it back to the default way it was when I got the camera. So the way to fix this is make sure that your frame number is in renew, completely reformat your card, go back into create folder, delete everything, add underscore and then Fuji, hit set, go back, and take a picture. And you should see it back. It is absolutely crazy, goofy, confusing. There should be a way to just say, reset a folder to default or something like that. There's not. There's no delete function. There's no way to do it. So basically, if you're going to create a custom subfolder and you want to set it back to how it was, try and follow along with what I just explained. I hope it makes sense. I'm not going through it again. Well, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I'm going to be signing off right now, but have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in a brand new video next week. Take care.